Welcome, I'm Bev Adams, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and I'm going to show you how to make this, I call it a buckle card. It's actually a gatefold card with interlocking framelets that work like a buckle on the front. And as I tell you how to make it, you don't need to worry about taking notes or keeping track of the measurements or anything, because if you come to bevadams.com, you can download a free printable list of supplies, and it also has all the measurements for cutting your paper and everything you need, plus step-by-step directions. So let's get started. We're using Your Lovely, which you can get until the end of the month, March of 2014. Your Lovely you can get for free with Celebration with a $50 purchase. And we're using these 3 stamps from that set, plus a stamp from Yippee Skippy. You're going to need some of our Sweet Sorbet Designer Series paper. And this is 1 3/4 by 5 1/2. A piece of watercolor paper, and it's just 2 1/4 by 2 1/2. A piece of crisp cantaloupe and a piece of Sahara sand, and these are the same size, or at least they should be, at 3 1/2 by 3 3/4, and half a sheet of pistachio pudding. We're going to cut the pistachio pudding at 4 1/4, and then we're going to score it at 2 3/4 from each end, 2 3/4 again. And then we're going to stamp our image with StazOn on the watercolor paper. StazOn stays on, so it's great for working with watercolors. And then we're going to cut that out with the coordinating Deco Labels framelets. And we're going to cut the 2 pieces of Sahara sand and crisp cantaloupe together. And I did have to recut that one so they fit. You're going to use the next size up and then the next size up from that, Deco Label framelets, and you're going to run those through the Big Shot. And that gives us 2 labels and 2 frames. And the Sahara sand frame is actually spare. We don't need that for this project. You can save it for a different project. I love my magnetic platform from my Big Shot. It makes life so much easier. We're going to use Summer Star Fruit for our green today. It's really kind of a greenish yellow, but I think it's going to make a nice stem color, stem and leaf for our, I think that these are freesias. I'm not sure about that. And I'm putting a little bit in the center of the flowers. To clean it off, I just brush it a few times on scrap paper. And we're using crisp cantaloupe for the flowers themselves. And you don't need to worry about having perfect. In fact, I think it's nice when there's a little bit of white showing through. Artists don't need to stay in the lines. Our coloring is done. I chose these colors because they coordinate with our designer series paper. And then we're going to use the Stays On again for stamping our little greeting. Whoop. Live happy. And while I've got that out, I should stamp our greeting for the inside too on the crisp cantaloupe label. And I think these go very nicely together. And now we're set to assemble our card. If I've scored these right, and I have not, I scored those in the wrong place, so let me redo that. Okay, let me try again. I need to go to 2 3/4 from each end, 2 3/4. Of course, I think there's something about the video camera rolling that makes us all make mistakes. Okay, let's see if that worked. Much better. I should be using the bone folder to get a nice crisp fold here. Now, I cut this to go all the way across, but we're going to need to separate that here. And so I could try gluing across. I think I will. I'll try it, see if it works. Usually I just glue half of it and then snip it and then glue the other half. But I'm going to live dangerously now that I've made my one mistake from my video. Okay. And I'm going to give that just a minute to dry while I put the label on the okay, that was 2 mistakes. That's all I get now. So I'm going to put my label on with dimensionals, which I had to get out from my shelf because I didn't get them out. Okay, now this should be dry enough, so I'm going to snip this in the middle. Love these snips. And I'm going to adhere just half of the label, so I am going to put it on this. In fact, I see a little bit of overhang I'm going to trim off here. There we go. So I'm going to adhere just half of my label, and I do want it to stick well. So I'm using multi-purpose glue, and I'm putting a line right on the edge of the card and around the edge of the label, just half the label. And I'm going to put this on this side. And this should match the band pretty well. And then I want to glue down the crisp cantaloupe frame on the other half of my card. So I'm going to use my label as a guide and put a very thin layer, a thin line of the glue around the right half, the opposite half of my card. And then I'm going to fit this together like a puzzle. So now this half is glued and this half is glued, and that's what makes my buckle work. Now I want to put my greeting on the inside. And I can kind of use this as a placing guide. It doesn't have to be perfect, because as you open the card it will not be right there. And we're done. If you want to add a few pearls to jazz it up a little bit. Now, I thought that this needed a little something extra when I made it, and so I'm going to put some Sahara sand around the edges with this border. And you could also jazz it up by running this through the Big Shot with the embossing folder, or you could even put a layer of designer series paper across there. With these clear stamps, you should be able to get a pretty close match here. And now I'm done. I hope you like that card. And again, if you want the printable directions and supply list, come on over to bevadams.com. And if you want to shop for those supplies, you can go right on the Shop Now button, and that will take you to the Stampin' Up website where you can order 24/7. Thank you for coming. Bye.